Okay, let's try this again. Plugged in, we're ready to go. So let's see, I have 2x plus 3. So let me go back to my calculator. Oh, by the way, to get rid of this, we go to Menu, Table, Remove Table. Back to where I started. I'm going to clear this out. Oops, exit. So let's see. I have 2x. I hope it's plus 3. Oh, really? Calculator? Okay, on the bottom I have 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Really? There we go. Okay. Once again, it looks like I have an asymptote. Looks to be, I don't know, maybe 1, but I don't know, it looks a little over. I can't tell. Let's check out our table. Menu, Table, Split Screen. So let's go up to -1. So -1, yeah, that's where my asymptote is. So we'll write that down. X equals -1 is a vertical asymptote. And this is the bare minimum you must write. I'll allow you to abbreviate it, but you must write vertical because it is very different than horizontal, or you could have ones against lines. Now let's check out and see if we have any holes. So let's keep kind of scrolling down. You should be asking yourself right now, well, how far out do we go? And in which direction? I could keep going up in the other way, and when do I stop? I mean, I don't see any, but I don't know. Let's check something out. Let's go to Menu, Table, Table Settings. This tells me where my table needs to start. This tells me my step size. Let's check out a step size of 1/2. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I know there's a vertical asymptote of -1, but at -1.5 or 3/2, it's undefined there too. So it looks like at x equals -3/2, I have a hole. You should start to see the problem with this method of using technology. How do you know what step size to pick? How do you know where to start and everything? It's so random. Like, what if you have a hole at the square root of 2? Are you ever going to pick a step size of square root of 2? No. So this whole using a calculator, it can help verify our answers, but it's really not the best way to find them. It's really not the best way to find them. So we need a different method. We can do it algebraically. A function has a vertical asymptote at x equals c. So a function has a vertical asymptote at x equals c. If c is a 0 of the denominator, c is a 0 of the denominator, but not a 0 of the numerator. But not a 0 of the numerator. So that means if I plug in c, the bottom will be 0 because it is a 0 of the denominator. But if I plug it in the top, it's not 0. It's anything other than 0. But plug it in the bottom, it's 0. Plug it in the top, it's anything else. Then it's a vertical asymptote. A function has a hole at x equals c. A function has a hole at x equals c if c is a 0 of the denominator and a 0 of the numerator. So if C is a 0 of the denominator and a 0 of the numerator. So what this means is if I plug in C into the bottom, I'm going to get 0. And if I plug in C into the top, I'm going to get 0 as well. So now we need to think about this. What do they have in common? What do vertical asymptotes and holes have in common? They're both 0 on the denominator. So that's exactly how we're going to start a problem. We're going to find when the denominator is 0. So let's try one. Find the holes and asymptotes. Find the holes and asymptotes of f of x equals x plus 4 over x squared minus 3x minus 28. Okay. My directions also might say find and identify, because when you find them, you better tell me, are they a hole or are they vertical asymptotes? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find when the bottom equals 0, because that happens on both holes and asymptotes. To do that, this is a quadratic. Sometimes you could error a diagram. Sometimes you can use a quadratic formula. Sometimes you can factor, which is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to find when this equals 0. So AC is negative 28. B is negative 3. So I have 1 and 28, 2 and 14. C. 4. Oops, sorry. Go away. So 3 won't go into it. 4 and 7 will. And that looks like our winners, but one of them has to be negative, and it looks like the 7 in order to add to be negative 3. So I have x squared plus 4x minus 7x minus 28. I can pull out an x up front. Oops. The back I can pull out negative 7. Pull out an x plus 4. I'm left with x minus 7. Now this equals 0 at negative 4 and 7. So I have found the problem areas. At these spots, it's either a hole or vertical asymptote. Now, to tell the difference, I know that if I plug it in the top, if I get 0, that's a hole. If I get anything other than 0, it's an asymptote. So if I plug in negative 4 right here, negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So since the top is 0, this is a hole. If I plug in 7, I don't get 0. I don't really care what I get. I know I don't get 0. So it is a vertical asymptote. There we go. It's that simple. You find when the bottom equals 0, and then you take those answers, plug them in the top. If you get 0, it's a hole. If you don't get 0, it's a vertical asymptote. Let's try another one. I'm going to set the bottom equal to 0. Ooh, this is a good problem because I'm going to factor, because guess what? You're probably not going to have a calculator for this quiz. I shouldn't say probably. You're not going to have a calculator for this quiz. Let's pull out that GCF of 2 and make it easy on us. X squared plus 7x plus 6. So AC is 6, B is 7, so 1 and 6 are obviously my choices. I'm going to ignore the 2 for now. X squared plus 1x plus 6x plus 6. Plot an x. X plus 1. Plot a 6. X plus 1. Get x plus 1. X plus 6. Don't forget your 2. So there's my factored version. This equals 0 at negative 1 and at negative 6. Now, 2 never equals 0, of course, but if this is an x don't forget to set that equal to 0 too. A lot of people forget that other value because there can be 3 answers, there can be 4, we don't know. So now I take my answers and I plug them in up top. If I plug in -1, I don't get 0. So it is a vertical asymptote. Plug in -6, I don't get 0, I get -12 by the way, because -6 minus 6. So it is also a vertical asymptote. There we go. Now you don't have to have 2 answers. I know our examples so far have, because a lot of them do. But once again, you could have 1 answer, you could have none, 2, 3, 4, doesn't matter. How do you try? Now, pause, ask the sub to please pause the video, and then hit play when you're ready, when everyone's done. Okay, let's go over this. Said the bottom equal to 0. See, AC is -15, B is 14, 1 and 15. One of them has to be negative. It looks like the -1. By the way, if it doesn't factor, don't let that stop you. You could always use the quadratic formula. Just might be a little more calculations by hand than you anticipate. So 3x squared minus x plus 15x minus 5. Plot an x, I'm left with 3x minus 1. Plot a 5, I'm left with 3x minus 1. On the 3x minus 1, x plus 5, and equals 0. So x equals 1/3, and x equals -5. If I plug in 1/3, right here, 3 times 1/3, well, they cancel, you're left with 1 minus 1, which is 0. So this is a whole. Plug in -5, I obviously don't get 0, so it is a vertical asymptote. There we go. Now, if you have questions, I am here after school today, so just pop on in. I'm actually done with my meeting, 4th period. So pop on anytime if you need help. Tonight, there's not a lot of practice in the book, so you do have a handout. It's a good joke handout. I made it myself. It's hilarious. Tomorrow, we're doing piecewise, so make sure this is done for tomorrow because we're going to keep chugging along because exams for seniors are next week. Yeah. So make sure you do homework, have it ready for tomorrow, and we'll go over that. And if you haven't already, of course, you've turned in your Kings Island assignment. All right, see you tomorrow.